Y'all, we live in difficult times. There's war, political unrest, the pandemic, poverty, families being torn, communities ripped by gun violence and people dying every day, police, injustice. It's all bringing so much pain. But y'all, we can look inside our minds and we can understand who we are, become better, and do this thing like we've never done it before. But it all starts with our mental health, and I know we can do it. I believe in you because I believe in me, and I believe in us. I oftentimes tell people that the school of love is one of the most difficult educations that you'll ever have to experience.
For sure.
It's a very complex and difficult class because it pulls on so many sides of us. On one end, you have these strong emotions and connections with someone, but then if they treat you badly, you also feel those emotions. But and sometimes those emotions you get angry and you push away. But then at the same time, there's another part of you that's attached that's pulling you back towards.
Right.
So you're getting pulled in two different directions, and you're trying to work through how you feel about it, and it can make it so hard for people to see what's in front of them.
True.
And so they become defensive.
Yeah.
You know, so but that's very good. Let's move on. I know the other day we talked a little bit about Jean Grey, man. You got anything you want to add about her music? What you thought about it?
Nah, just in general, Jean Grey is definitely one of the more underrated, more slept on women in hip hop, but at the same time, it's like real hip hop heads know her.
Right.
And for those of y'all who don't, quit being weird and go listen to some good music because she's really, really dope. Obviously, she's not extremely mainstream because she doesn't make sexy red music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She doesn't do that. But at the same time, neither do when we talked about. Actually, we got to go back a little bit too. When we talked about in the last episode, our favorite women in hip hop. Heads up, your top 5 female MCs. We need that from you before the episode is over. But yeah, when we talked about that, she's one of the ones that comes up on that list, and almost none of the ones that came up in our top 5s are those, mainstream chart toppers, but they're real lyricists, real MCs who make real dope music, who actually put work into the craft, and Jean Grey is definitely one of those.
Yeah. And I would like to say, I believe that she was one of the first rappers, period, to really speak to the issues of mental health.
Right.
Talked about counseling, talked about taking pills, talked about drug addiction. Song
Right.
I think it's Going Crazy.
Yeah.
It talks about that, and Keep Living, it talks about that. I would say in both of those songs, she speaks to the issues of street life and PTSD.
Right.
Post-traumatic stress syndrome. And speaking of that, how would you define post-traumatic stress?
PTSD? Oh, boy. So many ways. So I don't know if you want me to get super clinical, but how we get to PTSD is
You don't have to.
a situation starts. Something happens that is traumatic for an individual, and when you first feel it, it's like, okay, I'm stressed. Mm-hmm. This is stressing me out. And then it progresses to I'm having a hard time adjusting, getting back to my normal life. PTSD is when you cannot get back to how you were or how you thought or how you felt before that particular thing happened. Right. So when people talk about relationship PTSD, it's not a clinical term, but it's something I'm hearing more about. People are like, relationship PTSD is because these experiences are ingrained in your brain, and even though you're not with that particular, an ex, and you're going to a different relationship or even being with that same person, but because of something that they did, it's hard for you to get back to your normal level of functioning.
Exactly.
So when we think about trauma, we think about an individual who has nightmares, flashbacks, hypervigilance, and it's hard for them to ever return back to their previous level of functioning.
Yeah, and that hypervigilance it's like a cautiousness or fear or being overprotective about your future experiences.
Yeah.
And so it makes it hard for you to sleep, maybe hard for you to eat, hard for you to just to be at peace within yourself because of that traumatic experience. And maybe you'll be really mean to people, or you'll be overly nice, or you won't. It'll be hard for you to set healthy, constructive boundaries. So I'm just gonna be alone forever, and or I'm just gonna jump out there and try to talk to everybody because of what happened. Because you, on some level, you live in a place of fear. And then I like to say sometimes we create these things I call fear ships.
Okay.
And I don't want to label fear as being a bad thing, because it's a normal, natural human emotion, which all emotions are.
Fear is healthy.
Fear is healthy, but to what extent? So we get PTSD. Our fear has become so powerful that it and so controlling that we can't find peace. We can't find balance. We can't live with hope.
Yes.
Speaking of fear, when I was in grad school, we was having this conversation, and we was talking about fear, and I remember saying, hey, when I was growing up, I had a little bit of fear of my parents. And
see, that's the healthy part, because that's going to keep you aligned where you need to be. You're going to respect your parents.
Facts.
That's that healthy fear. So you're not crossing that boundary, crossing that line.
but I had people in there say, "Oh no, you can't have any fear. You can't have any fear." I said, "Yeah, I had a little fear that what my parents might do if I didn't do what I was supposed to do. If I didn't get grades, I got in trouble and everything." And I think it motivated me in many ways to do the right thing. And let me say, I didn't get a lot of bops and whatever, but there was always that little bit of fear. And I think when people have been traumatized, they hear the word fear. They ultimately think about it in this like real extremely bad way. But sometimes having a little fear when you go around Dead Man's Curve might save your life.
Slow down.
Slow down. Mark, you thinking something?
I don't want no problems when it comes to the parentals. I mean, like, I think it's funny now because sometimes so sometimes it'd be like, we at home and mom might be like, yeah, everybody go clean up, do whatever, and they might scatter and faking it like they doing something, and then after a while I hear yelling again like, I told y'all to do this an hour ago, and it's still not getting done. And then I come upstairs and it's just like, hey, and it happens. It's just like, and I'm the soft one, but you know what I'm saying? But I think it's just that fear of maybe just the unknown, or just that dad bass that just like vibrate through the house and then be like, all right, let's quit messing around and get it done. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because he ain't going to play with us.
For sure.
Yes.
Mom just going to keep talking, and we know she going to keep talking, but when dad come upstairs, we don't quite know what he might do.
Definitely still talking. Not gonna definitely still talking.
But they don't even know that.
Yeah, but they don't even all they they just like, nope, not taking a chance.
Take their phones. But,
you feel me? Yeah, not taking no chances. And I definitely listen. I already knew my mother was gonna grab me by the chest and have my feet dangling off the ground with me pinned against the refrigerator. I don't want no problems. Like, look, lady, I'm sorry. Like, whatever I did, just put me down and let me see tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So definitely had that fear too.
Yeah. And with and that's good. And with thinking about PTSD and thinking about some of the artists, and I was speaking of Jean Grey, she oftentimes spoke about the fears of living in the hood and different the community and all the things that went on. And many of us, man, that grew up in the hood and had those type of experiences, man, we might not just have PTSD because of a particular experience. We might have what we might call like more complex PTSD because we've dealt with things so many times over and over and over again that it's not just an experience, it's ingrained in our personalities. And being aware of that and trying to work through that, because what happens is it becomes ego systonic for us, or it becomes functional for us to be in this space, and it's hard for us to see that this doesn't work for me because it it agrees with our values and beliefs because we had to be in this space in order to survive. So when you tell me I'm not in the jungle no more and I ain't got to act that way, what do you mean?
Like what? No, a tiger gonna walk in here any minute and I'm gonna be ready for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's like I mean, obviously we know you get it a lot when you got people that come home from the military and they done had them experiences. Mm-hmm. Same when you get guys that come home from prison that done had crazy experiences in there, and they come home and they do things certain ways, like all the way down to the tiniest things of like, yo, when I park, I gotta back in so I can shoot straight out in case I need to, or coming in and like finding all the exits when you walk into a place so you know how to get out of there as quickly as possible. And it's like some people fortunate enough to not have that type of mentality to walk into a space and just be like, oh, this is nice, and sit down. But like, but there are definitely people who come in like, man, this is real nice.
Exit. Who's that? Who over there?
Yeah, right. Okay. What's behind that door over there? You know what I'm saying? Before they can get comfortable. And it just comes from them experiences. And it's like, you may get to a point in life where you don't have to worry about those kind of things no more, but that stay with you, though.
That stay with you. And think about the person that grows up in a home where they had the abusive parents that was always beating on them or dogging them. And they had, that was their first relationship. And now they're adults, and this is what they remember. And so when they get in relationships and somebody is critical of them, it feels like they with that parent, but they've done that for 17 or 18 or 19 years, or maybe they ran away when they was younger and stuff like that because, it was the situation was so difficult for them, but that creates an imprint on them. And so as a result, even when people are being constructive and positive in their life, they can't see it because they're so used to things being off the chain.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I know I'm probably it's probably a part of why I'm so passive about so many things, because I'm just not with the fight and the argument and all that, because I grew up in a household with that, and I know that about myself. Like my parents, it used to get bad. So like I knew growing up, like, I don't want that in my household. And so, like, that's a thing. So I definitely, not so much no more, partially because I just don't have these kind of issues. But at the same time, it's like I just knew to grow beyond that feeling that I used to get. But I used to get bad anxiety. It could be anybody when, a couple get to arguing and get heated and get tense. They might just be the type to just talk it out a little aggressively and never get, over a certain point. But I would feel it like, oh, no, something about to go bad.
Like, I feel it in myself.
because of how many times I saw it. Yeah. But, that's one of the things that you just learn over time to just, like, work your way through. You know what I'm saying? Right, yeah, but, exactly. Yeah, it could definitely be a thing.
So, and I think there's essentially 3 ways we can communicate, and it's maybe more, but I'm going to talk about 3 of them. We could be passive and never really talk about anything. We could then be assertive, and assertive is, look, I'm going to communicate my feelings and emotions, but at the same time, I'm going to try to be respectful to you. So I'm going to own my feelings. I feel a certain way. I would like to see this happen, but I'm not blaming or attacking you. And then there's the aggressive.
Right.
And that's really just putting it out there. Huh?
It's one way.
I
don't care about your feelings, because I'm just getting mine out.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It doesn't matter about what you think and what you feel. And typically when people have been traumatized and they're trying to find themselves, they might be aggressive. It's just about my feelings. It's just about me. I don't care about what you feel or think, because they're not in a place, and they haven't learned how to do that yet. Be empathetic and be open to other people's feelings. But the other one, which I think is the most dangerous one, which I should mention, is the passive aggressive.
Right.
Communicator. Because I'm telling you, oh, it's okay, it's fine. But in the cut,
turn around and
I'm doing everything to make this a bad situation.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like to call them ninjas.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like to call them ninjas,
it's cool. But then it's like, man, like, who took a dump in my shoe?
Exactly.
Like, what, bro? Like, what happened?
You don't know where they're coming from. Like, give me the boxer. Give me the aggressor. I know where you're coming from.
For sure.
I can deal with. I can plan for you. But the passive aggressive, oh no, man, they're the worst.
You just never know when the payback coming. But it's coming and it's sneaky.
Yeah. Like as the song say, smiling faces tell lies.
For sure.
I just went old school. There you go.
Yeah. No, they ain't hip. They ain't hip.
Huh?
They ain't hip.
They ain't hip. They don't know no better.
That's the joint.
That's the joint. Yeah, man. So I like to say that humans change, technology change, but human nature remains the same. We can go back thousands of years, and some of the stories we can find. Some of the stories that would tell us some of the same things about ourselves if we really just listen to the stories.
Yeah.
Sucks. But anyway, with that being said, let's kind of like maybe shift in a different direction. And obviously there is that shoot they dupe, salt and pepper era. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts? So
I don't know.
like,
Let's see, salt and pepper. Let's talk about sex.
Oh.
Let me bring it back. That was a song you was just singing.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah. When they came out, everyone wanted that salt and pepper haircut. Mm-hmm. I want the haircut. Short right here, long right here.
With the feather comb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mom
it's
Dukes
like, ooh,
that.
they look cool. When they came out, they were cool. And they were real.
They was real. So do you think that when you think about let's talk about sex and some of the other songs, that they created an environment where women could be rappers and of course at the same time start to own their sexuality and what's happening in that space? Yeah,
in a fun way. When I think of salt and pepper, I think of fun. I don't know why. They just seem like their appearance, everything about them was just fun. And as a kid, singing the songs, had no idea what the lyrics meant, what they were talking about. Mm-hmm. But it was catchy. It was like, yeah, they're cool. And to me, it didn't seem like they were in a lot of like competition. Mm-hmm. We think about female rappers and needing to feel supported. Mm-hmm. Not wanting to come out, because it was always, it was a competition with men. Mm-hmm. And just coming out into the industry and wanting to make sure that what you were talking about was relevant to what was going on, but you also had your own little flavor at the same time. And, flavor, salt and pepper, I guess. I don't know where their name came from, but they definitely provided some flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? I think of salt and pepper, I think about mashed potatoes. That's just me, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And I don't need no gravy. But anyway.
No, always gravy.
Okay. Is it always gravy?
Always gravy.
Always gravy. When I was a kid, man, I was living in the South, and we used to live around a lot of farms. And so, man, we would get like these big bags of corn, and we also sometimes get potatoes. So of course, I was a latchkey kid, so right, I cook a little bit, right. So I would go get me some corn or get me some potatoes, smash them up, boil them, smash them up, and throw some butter, throw some salt, and throw a little pepper on it.
Yeah, that's it.
And I would be good. When mom come home about to cook dinner, I'm like, nah, Mom, I'm good, man.
Facts.
I done tore it up. But another question about them: do you think they also may have been, like you said, they were fun, started this space where women was able to begin to express their sexuality?
Absolutely. And it was coming from a way of, like the man in a 3-piece suit. Like, I'm watching you, and just let you know that it's not because you want to sleep with me or you want me, but I want you too. And I can be picky and I can be choosy. They described a woman's point of view of how a woman sees a man. Right. These are the things that I'm looking and what I want to do with you too.
Yeah,
not just you objecting me as a sexual being and me just being passive and going with it, but I'm looking at you too.
Gotcha. And with that being said, think about it. You obviously had like Foxy Brown. It's funny. Every time I think of Foxy Brown, I always think of Onyx, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just energy, though.
Yeah, energy, yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's there. It's aggressive.
It's aggressive.
Very aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, you had Lil' Kim, and we talked about that. Mm-hmm.
But Lil' Kim was backed by Biggie and Mafia. Mafia? What's the name? I don't want to say the wrong thing. What was the...
Oh, Junior Mafia?
Thank you. So, like, she was backed by them. She was supported. Did she come out on her own? I would say no, because she was on stage. A lot of the women in the 90s didn't.
A lot of the women in the 90s were affiliated with, like, some of the hard rappers that was out. So...
You come out, either you're in a You know, it's three of us
Right,
together.
right.
But what woman actually? Who was the first woman that actually came out like on her own? Like, there's nobody behind me. It's no group. It's just me. Here I am.
That's tough because we talked about like Queen Latifah was with the Native Tongues. I forget the name of the group that MC Light was with when she came out. Man, like Roxanne Shante had cast with her. Like everybody, like it was tough. Like I mean, like all the way up to into like the 2000s. Like when I think of like Charlie Baltimore, you think, you know, Missy was with Timberland and them, and so it's like almost every impactful woman I can think of, going all the way up to like the 2000s, like came up in a circle of men, and got kind of introduced and put out there. Like everybody I could think of, Charlie Baltimore, Shauna was with Ludacris and them, Rod Digger was with Busta Rhymes, like almost every like major female act.
X was with
X
No
was
Limit.
with it was with No Limit. What you call it?
Yeah.
Gangsta Boo and Lil Chat was with 3 6 Mafia.
So I guess the most important part is, you know, once again, we talk about women and, you know, coming up with like needing a support system, not just stepping out in the spotlight on their own. But once you had that support and you had your group, what did you do beyond that?
Right,
so I think we were
right,
talking
right.
about Eve. You know, she came out with the Rough Riders, then she came out with her own album, then she's an actress, you know. She came out and did her own things, but it's like having that stepping stone and how the women use that.
Right.
I think that that's most important.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about what you did with it.
Yeah. You know what? And with that being said, I think about it. I think most of us, just in life in general, if we got somewhere, there was somebody who helped us get there. This whole idea, I'm a come up my own bootstraps. That's a lie. Most people don't do that. Now you, even if you came from a wealthy family, you know, obviously your family wealth put you in that position. But and I think sometimes when we look at things racially or ethnically, that's one of the challenges, is because we don't have those people, and because rap was or has been for a long time dominated by men. Of course, if women was gonna get in the rap game, it's probably gonna be supported by men. So what those women did with those opportunities and empowering themselves, and I think becoming the best version of themselves was up to them if they had that opportunity.
Yeah, and if we were talking about, we could spend 3 seconds talking about Sexy Red, just 3. You know, we talk about like, you know, having that support and that backbone, and then you look at some of the female performers now. I don't know what to call them. They need a backbone. They need some support. They need a foundation, in my opinion, because now you're just coming out here just. If you would have had that, maybe you would have had some structure. Now you're just jumping out here and being I don't know. So that's just my 3-second spiel on that.
You know, I want to say, you know, I think on some level, like, obviously, we talked the other day, and I brought up the song Cobra by Megan Thee Stallion, and I was like, if you see the video, if you're not really paying attention, you'll miss the whole point, because you're focusing on what the look is and not the story. You can see that she's really struggling.
Hold on. Hold that.
Okay.
Hold that right there, because that's a very, very valid thought. I'm still stuck on like the support. Cardi B is a really big supporter. Cardi B will get on a track with a new rapper. You know, she has Glorilla, she has Megan Thee Stallion. Like, Cardi B is a supporter. She sees women and she's like, you know what? We're going to collab. We're going to make it work together. She's a supporter, and she does provide a pretty good foundation. That's my opinion. But yes, Megan Thee Stallion and her mental health. Yes.
Yeah. So she's struggling. She's depressed, and she's working through some things. But people might see her and not really focus on what her struggles is. And oftentimes when we see people we might find interesting or attractive or whatever, we don't really necessarily pay attention to what's going on with them. We just see something that we're interested in, or we like, or we entertained by them in some way. We don't dig deeper into them to try to understand what's really going on. Like, as Marvin Gaye would say, what's going on? And so I think it's important that we do that. But also speaking of Megan, though, I think it's important to appreciate the fact that she started some stuff with mental health, some mental health resource center, just to try to encourage people to address mental health concerns. And I think that's a good thing. But with that being said, let's talk a little bit about depression. What depression looks like.
Oh, okay. Well, depression is definitely thinking about something sad has already happened. Being in a mode where it's hard for you to move past an experience, but not as traumatic as like PTSD, but depression is like, I'm sad because this happened and I can't change it and I can't go back. So when we think about depression, we think of loss, we think of sadness, we think of even somebody with low self-esteem, like I should be better than what I'm doing.
Yeah, feeling worthless, hopeless.
Yes.
Loss
of interest, eating problems, weight gain, weight loss, insomnia, hypersomnia, things like that. Yeah. Suicidal thoughts, self-harm.
Yeah, self-harm, all those things. And if you obviously you feel that way, and we like to say like a 2-week period, right? You really need to be seeking help in everything because, suicide obviously occurs more often than we would like. But, suicide is one of those very preventable things. We can prevent it from happening. And so every time it happens, it shouldn't happen. We didn't say this, but oftentimes people feel isolated, feel all by themselves. And, and it's crazy, but I think it's important to understand that people could be very famous, because you see this happen a lot with famous people, but they still can feel isolated, although they have a lot of people around them. Why do you think that is?
Connection. I can be sitting here with you guys right now, but I can still feel lonely if I don't feel connected. Right. I don't feel understood. I don't feel heard. Even though there's a body here, I still have to sit with my own emotions and my own loneliness and sadness, because I don't think that you guys would be able to be supportive of how I'm feeling.
Right. So isolation is really not about how many people that are around you. Isolation is actually about being around people, but feeling as if nobody gets you or understands you.
Yes.
That's what isolation really is. I could stay in a room by myself all day long, but if I feel like people get me, then I'm probably okay. But when I feel like nobody gets me or understands me, that's typically when I'm going to have more of a problem. Yeah,
for sure.
Understanding that. So, anyway, y'all got any other thoughts? Any other ideas you want to bring out here?
Ladies, we love y'all. I swear we do. And I be jamming to the women in hip hop. Not a lot of the ones today, but a lot of the ones in general.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, there's a few that you like now, and
yeah, like I said, in my top 5, I had Rhapsody and Cyrock the MC, who are both I wouldn't say new, but they are, within this past, 5 to 10 years, really been getting active. I wouldn't even say 10. They ain't active like that. They are still newer on the scene. But yeah, those two alone carry so much. There's a girl named Versailles the Everything from down in Florida. Amazing, bro. Amazing. She sings, she raps, she produce, she just do her own everything. That's why she call herself the everything. She does everything, but fire. And I'm talking about I can name you hundreds of men who couldn't even get close to what she does musically. So there are definitely a lot of women who are really dope. I would be trash if I didn't mention, like, here in Cleveland, there's one named Affinity. Phenomenal. She done been on like Sway in the Morning, did freestyles and stuff, and rep the city, and dope. So there are plenty of really, really solid female MCs, female rappers, women in hip hop. I mean, look, and it's even a space for the ones that do the, ratchet party, club, whatever. Like, it's a space for that too, because there are definitely clearly plenty of women, who can relate to it and want to have fun like that and live like that, that's cool. Like there's a space for everything. I just ain't got to listen to it.
Yeah. And sometimes people listen to things because they want to be entertained.
Right.
And you know, when I think of mental health, you know, I try to be aware of the fact that my mental health is the combination of social beliefs and attitudes, politics, government, my direct environment, my biology. So when we talk about mental health, it's hard for us to just talk about it on a biological level or my own thoughts, because things I believe about myself is not just something internal, but I'm getting things from my environment that influences how I think and feel about me. And whether I'm conscious of it or not, it's happening. So the things I listen to, the things I watch, the people I hang around, the things my parents said in the house, the schools I went to, the way I was esteemed, all those things influence the person that I am and my mental health. Because how I see myself, it has to be a combination of all those things. Because maybe if I do some things that I do right now, and I live in quote unquote Great Britain, that behavior is perceived differently, or I live in Australia, it's perceived differently. But the way I live, it creates a construct which I exist in, which then I have anxiety, depression, maybe even PTSD based on these type of experiences. Or maybe I become desensitized to certain type of violence because of the environment that I live in. You know, maybe in many cases we become overly sexualized in an environment we live in. So when we hear things that talks about that, we don't think about it in the way that we maybe should think about it. And I want to be careful using the word should, but we have to be aware that our mental health, we are battling every day on so many levels to maintain our mental health. So we need to be cautious about what we listen to.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's across the board though.
With anything.
Yeah, anything that we take, like what do you take in? You know, what do you take in? What do you consume on a daily basis? You know, do you listen to, you know, like you are what you eat. It's going to reflect. You know, if you sit and watch conspiracy theories all the time, you're going to start finding yourself being paranoid. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you watch nothing but gory, bloody violence, it's possible that will start to impact you, and it might not make you go on a killing spree, but it's definitely gonna make you feel some way by comparison to if you know, I don't know, you watching comedies all the time. You know what I'm saying? You may be lighthearted, but it's like you're going to be impacted by what you watching, what you listening to, the conversations you have, the company you keep. All of those things have an effect on you, and it's like if you want to see yourself a certain way, you need to look at the things that you are absorbing.
Right, and because a lot of times we don't realize that we are inside a box. We think we are acting independently. Right. But nah, there's all these things influencing the way we think and the way we act. Right. And we're not conscious of it. Advertisement is influencing what you buy, what you put on. Some of the stuff may not even be healthy for you, good for you, but you're going to put it on anyway. What you eat, but
it happens.
It happens. And we eat so much sugar. Why we eat so much sugar? Because it's been instilled in us for a long time.
That's right.
It's crazy because it be in things that you don't even realize. Like, this ain't even sweet for real, but it's like, but it's mad sugar in it, though. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you just don't realize it.
Yeah, it's a drug. It's still a drug.
Absolutely.
Well, sugar is one molecule away from cocaine, and we give it to our children. We give them cereal in the morning. Nothing but sugar.
Exactly. Yeah. I fell asleep and I was watching a streaming service, and they only had like a couple of commercials on this one program I was watching, and I think that they had the Impossible Whopper commercial played. I think I might have slept for like an hour, and I swear I heard that commercial like 16 times. And I got up and I had to go to Burger King and just try the Impossible Whopper. I'm just like, man, like it can't be that good. Like the commercial just kept playing. I went, it was delicious. I ain't gonna lie. But I only went and got it because it was like in my head so bad. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I just finally went to like get it out my head. It's like when you got a song stuck in your head and you got to play it to get it out your head. It was like that. We don't be realizing because we don't have control over the subconscious.
Yeah, we internalizing things. And, you know, the brain, you make this simple, but to the point, the brain is, I feel like it's broke down into three parts. There's an instinctive part of the brain that, you know, there's things that we do naturally, like we feel like we need to eat, or, you know, we feel automatically that we need to get sleep, and we have certain drives and desires that happen instinctively. But the emotional part of us, the emotional brain, that's where our creativity, but also in a lot of ways our sense of protectiveness, protecting ourselves, is in that emotional space. And then you have the cognitive brain. When we're in danger, the emotional brain, it actually dictates. The intellectual brain is not really controlling things. Somewhere in the process of living, things are always influencing our emotions, and we're trying to use our intellectual brain to process things, but there's this intertwine of those things happening at all times. When we listen to music, when we hear things, it's always influencing the emotional part of our brain, because probably music, it comes largely from the emotional part of us and somewhat from our intellectual selves. But we telling the story oftentimes of our pains and suffering. Mm-hmm. What happened to us, what we didn't like. We're not always talking about the good things.
For sure.
It's like, it's the way we release a lot of our trauma. That's why sometimes I find it hard to, like, listen to, we talked about this the other day, listen to certain types of music a lot, because when I'm hearing it, and it's probably due to the fact that I'm a therapist and I'm hearing people tell their stories, because even on TV, I can't sit and just watch, like, serious shows. like ooh, I got to turn it off after a little bit. Yeah. So it's like, okay, man, it's getting too deep for me. But because it's emotionally, it's grabbing, it pulls you in. So on one end, it's supposed to be entertaining, but at the same time, it's causing like a cortisol, a stress response in your body. Yeah. And that's crazy, right? Mm-hmm. But we get pulled into it. The same thing with TV. We get pulled into it. So, you know what, really quickly though, in ending this up, I think there's a lot of music that talks about love. Obviously, we talked last time about Lauryn Hill. We talked about MC Lyte and Poor George. And that reality, we talked about the fact that relationships are important, and they are a healthy part of our lives, and not just sexual relationships, but having healthy relationships, and we need to try to foster those. Nyesha, being a woman, you have any more thoughts on that? And being a therapist, excuse me. You get to wear both hats.
Not really.
Not really? Mark, you got any more thoughts?
Love is necessary. We need that. We need them records for sure. And we should definitely put more focus on that than the hate and whatever else, because it's a whole lot of that.
Yeah, it's a lot of hate in the world right now.
So much.
Okay. Well, when you say love, love in songs, definitely when some people have a hard time communicating, they communicate through song. So even, friendships, relationships, anything, if you're trying to express yourself, music can definitely help with that. Sending somebody a song, or using it as a metaphor. I feel like, Jay-Z when he said, or I feel like Glorilla when she said, being able to find that connection. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times people struggle with communicating their feelings, but music oftentimes helps you express what you don't know how to say. You can't find the words to say.
Yeah. No, I've definitely done it. Hey, listen to this record right here, because this is how I feel when I think about you. I've done that for sure.
Exactly.
Like I said, we need that love.
Yeah, we need that love. We need that connectiveness. We need men and women to get along and share space and appreciate each other, because we all came from the same source, right? A woman. Right. So, listen, if you like this episode, please put your comments down in the comment section. Don't forget to like and also subscribe. We'll be coming back with some more discussions on hip-hop and mental health and other subjects related to the topic of adjustment and mental health. So you guys have a good day. And as I would say again, back to the lesson at hand, because perfection is perfection. And you need to understand in the next episode. Peace. We out.